Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to another story from Genesis, the first book in the Bible. We've been learning about the people of Israel. Last time we learned that Jacob, who was Isaac's son, who was Abraham's son, had his name changed from Jacob to Israel. That is where we get the name Israel and the country of Israel and the children of Israel. These were God's chosen people. He chose them all the way back with Abraham and promised Abraham that he would have so many descendants he couldn't even count them. So many, how many stars in the sky or pieces of sand by the sea. That's how many descendants he would have. And his descendants are called the Israelites. Well, Jacob did have a lot of sons. He ended up having 12 sons. And most of those, 10 of those sons, as I told you last time, were the sons of Leah. Remember, Leah was his first wife that he married, and he really he didn't love Leah as much as he loved Rachel. He wanted to marry Rachel, remember, and then his father tricked him and made him marry Leah first. Well, Rachel didn't have children for a long time. And finally, God blessed Rachel with a son, and his name was Joseph. And Joseph was Jacob's favorite son because he was his favorite wife's son. And he gave Joseph a very special coat, a coat of many colors. And this coat was important because it told the rest of his brothers that he was the one that Jacob had chosen to receive the most inheritance. And that made his brothers so jealous. Not only that, but God was really with Joseph. Joseph loved God and he obeyed God, and God would speak to Joseph sometimes in dreams. And one night he had a dream, and he told his brothers this dream. And that dream was that he was collecting the wheat. They were out in the fields, and they were bundling all the bundles of wheat. And there were 10 bundles of wheat, and then there was one more, and those 10 bowed down to his bundle of wheat. And he thought, I wonder what that means. Well, his brothers knew what that meant. That meant that someday they would bow down to him, their younger brother, and that made them even more jealous. Well, Jacob had another dream, and this time in that dream, the sun and the moon and the stars bowed down to him. What in the world did that mean? So that meant that even his parents would bow down to him. And so this was a strange dream that God gave to him. But when he told his family about his brothers and his dad about this dream, they thought, oh my goodness, when would we ever bow down to him? And they didn't like that dream. And it made him so angry that they wanted to do something mean to him. Well, sometime later, the brothers were taking care of the sheep at a place called Shechem. And Jacob told Joseph to go down and check on his brothers. And he thought, they've been there a long time, so I think you should go down and check on your brothers, make sure they're okay. So when he went there to see them, the brothers decided to do something really horrible and mean to him. In fact, some of the brothers wanted to kill him. And they said, this is our chance. Here comes Joseph. This is our chance to take care of him. Let's get rid of him. Let's kill him. And then we can tell our father that a wolf got them. But one of the brothers said, no, let's not kill him. Let's just throw him in this well. And there was a well there. So when Joseph came and he was checking on them to see how they were doing, they grabbed him and they threw him into the well, and then they took his coat and they killed an animal and put blood on it. And then they were going to take the coat back to his father and say an animal had killed him. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. Well, right around that time, there were some men that came by, and they were traders, and they would grab or buy people and sell them as slaves, and they would buy other things too. But these traders from Egypt came, and oh my goodness, they decided to sell Joseph to these slave traders. So they put a rope down at the well, and they pulled Joseph up, and of course they'd taken his coat by now. They pulled him up and they sold him to these slave traders. And then the people led Joseph away. He was going to be going all the way to Egypt. Oh my goodness. Well, so then they took that coat that had the blood on it, and they took it back to their father and let him know. And they said, they lied to him, and they said, "Oh, Father, we're so sorry, but something has gotten to Joseph and he's gone." And oh my goodness, Jacob was so upset. He cried out and he said, "Oh my goodness, my son has been torn to pieces by wild animals." And he said, "All my life I will mourn for him." He cried and cried, and nobody could comfort him. And even though Joseph's brothers knew the truth and knew he was still alive, they kept that secret from their father. They never told him about the terrible thing they had done. It was a secret between them. But it was a terrible choice to deceive their father like that. That is not a wise choice. And the lies and the horrible things that they did, we're going to find out what happens to them, because God will always find out our sin, right? But what's going to happen to Joseph? We'll find out next time what happens to Joseph in Egypt.